and the world they leave behind.
Learned of the death of another woman who has touched our hearts, Mother Teresa, who died today in Calcutta at the age of 87. We'll have more on her incredible life and work later. But first, we go to Barbara in London, where Princess Diana's funeral procession is scheduled to begin in just a few hours at about 4 a.m. Eastern Time.
Well, Hugh, being here in front of Westminster Abbey, where the funeral will take place tomorrow, is an extraordinary experience. Behind me are thousands of people willing to wait all through the night. They began to line up yesterday and even some the day before. The funeral tomorrow will surely be a powerful and poignant testimony to this public affection. My colleague David Ensor has more on the upcoming day and on today's dramatic events.
To understand the magnitude of the loss the British people are feeling, take a look outside Kensington Palace, Diana's home.
She was a courageous woman and a humane woman, and we're shocked.
Lady Diana, Princess of Wales, we'll miss you now. You've passed us by, but on your wondrous way, perhaps you'll find that happiness that was meant to come your way. She was a light that's gone out in our country now, and nothing will replace her.
Her home has become a shrine for a nation in mourning.
We've seen messages from children as young as 4 years old. They've left soft toys, even little scribbled drawing that probably a 2 or 3 year old has done, but they know who Diana is.
I think it's a kind of social phenomenon. This kind of outdistances anything in this century, and possibly in the last century as well, in terms of a reaction to the death of a public person.
But by yesterday morning, the nation's sorrow was turning to anger at the royal family for remaining secluded in Scotland, for not sharing their feelings with anyone.
They never show any emotion, any facial expressions, happiness, grief. They are just cardboard cutouts. God bless you.
Today, dramatic steps by the royal family to show that is not true. Prince Charles brought his sons to see how their mother's loss has affected others. The boys carried some of the flowers to place them by the wall.
And the boys, now that they've lost a mother at such a sensitive time, can they make it? Are they going to be all right?
They've got to make it. They've just got to make it. There's no question of it.
Outside Buckingham Palace this afternoon, the Queen in black thanked her people for the flowers and condolences. And this evening, she went live on television for the first time in 37 years to offer Diana
Pictures of Diana before the crash.
Security camera pictures taken at the Ritz Hotel in Paris, which Al Fayed owns, show the affection Dodi had for the princess as they waited to leave. Then, at the hotel's back exit, the mad dashed to the car in an attempt to avoid the paparazzi waiting at the front entrance to the hotel. They also showed the driver, Henri Paul, minutes before, and, says Al Fayed spokesman, show that he was not drunk. But the pictures are jumpy. They do not appear to answer that question clearly. From all around Britain, from all around the world, people are streaming into London today for the funeral. Police estimate the city will have to find room for an extra 3 to 6 million people.
We miss her, real bad, so we want to be a part of this, and a part of this.
Westminster Abbey, the ancient burial place of English kings, will hold the funeral service. Diana's body will then be buried on an island in a lake on her family's country estate.
You can't do anything else but sort of break down and show your emotions. I don't think you can hold that stiff upper lip, you know, in a time like this.
Tradition is constant in Britain, but so is change. And there is something new here. The British people no longer believe that a stiff upper lip is the right way to deal with grief. It is something Diana taught people by her own example during her short life. Now it seems the rest of the royal family may be learning that lesson too.
Yesterday, the father of Dodi Fayed, Diana's companion in life and death, emerged from his offices at Harrods department store, which he owns, to thank the crowds of well-wishers. Mohammed Al Fayed spoke briefly for our cameras.
You find this tremendous support of such nice, ordinary people gives you a lot of courage. And I appreciate when they are here, standing for hours, just signing a book and giving their condolence. Carrying flower is something hidden.
Then Mr. Fayed talked privately with Barbara. Barbara, what did he have to say to you?
Well, Hugh, first of all, he said that he was going to have his own investigation of what happened at the accident. He's very concerned about the reports that the driver was drunk, and he doesn't believe he was. Secondly, in a personal note, he sent that his son and Princess Diana were looking for houses together in Paris. And finally, an extraordinary bit of news, he told Princess Diana's sister that Princess Diana was able to speak and gave instructions before her death. After the accident, she was, he said, still able to speak.
Barbara, the royal family came under harsh criticism for their silence about Diana's death until today. But you have some information about Prince Charles and the Queen, I understand.
Well, Hugh, in spite of what's been said about Prince Charles, about his remoteness, he was enormously concerned and involved when he heard about Princess Diana's death. When he was returning from France with Diana's coffin, he radioed ahead from the cockpit of the plane to make sure there were flowers to drape in her coffin. There had not been. He also is the one who convinced his mother, the Queen, to make the statement today that she did to the public, a statement of emotion about Princess Diana. I also spoke with a longtime member of the royal household who said that the Queen had been very supportive of Diana before and after the divorce, and that Diana as well had great affection for the Queen. So that I think the royal family cared much more than they were able to express. But it's a different generation, and they express themselves differently.
That's most interesting. The news can amend itself. Thank you, Barbara. Next, Elton John is going to talk to Barbara about some very private moments with his close friend, Princess Diana, and a preview of the special lyrics that he'll sing tomorrow at her funeral in Westminster Abbey. Spoke exclusively to Barbara about their long and close friendship.
For Hugh, Princess Diana enjoyed the affection of many people in the world of show business, and her bond with Elton John was special. Elton John, the flamboyant rock star. He has helped raise millions of dollars for causes like famine relief and the fight against AIDS. She was the shy Princess Diana, who could hardly have come from a more different world. But she too was a crusader, dedicated to easing people's suffering with her compassion and grace. And so the princess and the rock star became devoted friends and enjoyed each other's company in good times and bad for almost 2 decades. How did you meet? How did you become so friendly?
I was playing at Prince Andrew's birthday party at Windsor Castle, and this is when she was Lady Diana Spencer.
All that time ago.
Yeah, and I came down after getting changed, and they had a big dance band there, and there was nobody around except her, and she said, oh, it was really lovely, thank you very much. And when we did the Charleston together for about 10 minutes, not that I've ever Charleston, but you don't turn that sort of thing down, do you? She was so funny, she was very charming and lovely, very easy then, and she put me very much at ease, and then after that, she wrote me a lovely letter. She was a good letter writer. And she was very quick. You know, you had a dinner with her, you went out to dinner with her, well, there was always a letter practically the next day. Quite extraordinary. Handwritten, always handwritten. And beautifully handwritten too. So she was remarkable. She was, had a great attention for detail. There's always been a kindred spirit there.
What do you think the kindred spirit was?
A feeling of love for people, compassion, humor, sadness. She could connect with everybody. She made everyone feel special. And that, the royal family has been kind of, through centuries and centuries, remained aloof from that. And they're brought up in a different way from everybody else. And Diana broke the mold.
But earlier this year, the two friends had a falling out. And it was not until Gianni Versace, their mutual friend, was brutally slain in July that they came together again. That reunion meant the world to Elton John. At the funeral of Gianni Versace, Princess Diana sat next to you.
Yes, she asked if she could sit next to me because she came on her own, which was a tremendous gesture for her to come. And it was a very emotional day for me because Gianni and I were extremely close. As soon as I saw her, I breathed a sigh of relief. Even though I was with David, who's my partner, and we were like, oh, God, thank God you're here, you know? When I started crying and she put her arm around me and she was, that's exactly what she was like. She was such a caring, she was a very calming person.
And she comforted you?
Yes. Friendship is not just all about the good times, it's about, we all fall out with each other sometimes, we all have disagreements. And thank God that through one tragedy, we came back together again.
You probably would never have been able to forgive yourself.
No.
Elton, two of your closest friends died as a result of fame. Gianni Versace gunned down, Princess Diana, an automobile crash. I mean, fame. What do you think about that?
Well, I also lost John Lennon as well, many years ago. That's 3 of my friends in life have lost their life to fame. 2 of them murdered, 1 of them in a senseless car crash. You can't really blame it on fame. You can put it down to when it's your time to go. You have no alternative but to be called somewhere else.
And now Elton John will be one of the guests at her memorial service tomorrow, where he has been given the rare honor of performing at Westminster Abbey. Elton, you are going to sing at her funeral.
Sarah, her sister, had asked if it was possible that I could sing, and I said, I'd do anything you want. I've been invited to the funeral anyway, which I considered an incredible honor with David, to pay my last respects. And now I've been asked to sing something at the funeral, which is quite a daunting thing, but I want to. I'm not scared about it. I really want to sing for her.
It obviously had to be cleared with the Queen.
Yes, and I think not only just the Queen. I mean, you have to go, it's such an elaborate sort of labyrinth of people you have to go through. There's the people, the courtiers at the palace, there's Westminster Abbey, there's, you know, because it's a sacred place, you know, and people want it to be dignified, as I do, and they don't want it to be demeaned in any way.
What will you sing?
In England, they've been showing montages of Princess Diana with Candle in the Wind. Song that Bernie Taupin and I wrote about Marilyn Monroe. So rather than sing that, which I thought was totally inappropriate because it's a song about Marilyn Monroe, I asked Bernie yesterday evening to write a brand new lyric about her.
What's the first line?
Goodbye, England's Rose.
And how does it end?
Your candle burned out long before your legend ever will. So it's 3 verses about her, and it's a beautiful lyric.
What an assignment for you, Elton.
That's the toughest. I'm very much a sentimentalist. I cry very easily. And in a situation like that, where one is in a church and you have a choir and there's sacred music, which I find very beautiful, she kept her cool for me when at Gianni's funeral, and she held her composure. I've got to do the same for her.
Will you be playing the piano, or will you be singing with the choir?
I'll be playing the piano, because unfortunately, because everything's come together so quickly, there's not enough time to rehearse. So I'm going to go from the Abbey, and I'm going to go into a studio, and I'm going to record a piano and voice version of that song. And I'm going to put it on my new single, which is coming out in 2 or 3 weeks. And I'm going to give all the money to start her foundation off.
The Princess Diana Trust?
Yeah. It actually has been announced that there's going to be a Princess Diana Trust, administered through Kensington Palace by her sister Sarah, to carry on the work with the charities that she was associated with.
Since she had little pretension, it seems to me, and you know her so much better, that she kind of liked to, you know, strip people of their pretensions.
Yeah, and she teased people. Yeah. She was a great teaser too, and yes, she was great company. I mean, a great dinner guest, great company, great conversationalist. I've never known her to be unhappy as far as when she talks to you. Always one of these people that whenever you get off the phone or you see her in person, you always feel elated after you've spoken to her. And she had the best sense of humor. I think that's what most people are saying now. What do you remember about Princess Diana? Her humor.
It was kind of a wicked humor.
It was very wicked. Yeah. She had a very wicked giggle. She had a very wicked sense of humor. You
and Princess Diana loved to gossip, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Gossip and shop, but we never shopped together.
Gossip and shop? And I'll bet it was fun.
It was, and laugh. I mean, She loved to laugh. She was a real tease. She loved to giggle. She loved to laugh. And we had many, many wonderful times together.
Queen, and as a grandmother, I say from my heart, first, I want to pay...
Partially of performance and partially of content. I mean, if there was a cloud of danger over the House of Windsor, I think today will be the day that dispelled it, because there were two things happened today. Earlier on, there was Prince William and Prince Harry walking.
Diana had a very special friendship with Elton John. They were both crusaders, raising vast amounts of money for charity, but they also liked to laugh together and to tease each other or share a juicy bit of gossip. And that wasn't all. There was something else the princess and the rock star had in common. Both were victims of their own celebrity.
I think because of what I do, she could talk to me about, you know, the pressures that were on her, which were enormous. She was followed everywhere she went. And I don't know how you can live in that sort of goldfish bowl. And I'm certainly, I mean, one thing about her, she wasn't a saint. She was a human being. She had her